today I'd like to talk to you about the North Node conjunction with Uranus and Mars in the sign of Taurus on the 31st of July and 1st of August of 2022. And this will be at 18 degrees of Taurus. And Uranus and Mars are also both in debility in the sign of Taurus. Now, this is a cycle that begins a new, or I should say, this is the beginning of a new 15-year cycle collectively. This can be a crisis point activation or ignition point for some immediate as well as some longer unfolding changes and growth over the next 15 years. This is also on the eclipse axis, and I consider it as powerful, if not more, in fated turnarounds and destiny shifts, breakdowns and breakthroughs and innovation. Now, Uranus and the North Node conjuncts every 15 years in a new sign. So most predictions or possibilities that I'll mention can unfold in the next 15 years. But this time we have Mars conjoining this. So there will be more immediate manifestations as well. Shocks and surprises, sudden downloads. If you have any planets between 7 and 22 degrees of any of the fixed signs, give or take, you may be affected more intensely. In general, if you have any strong placements in any fixed signs, you will be feeling this. But everybody will be feeling this in some area of their life. Now, your fixed signs are Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, as well as Scorpio. And if you're in your midlife and you have currently also Uranus opposing Uranus, this can affect you even more strongly with relationship changes, sexual awakenings, and so forth. So before we continue with the possibilities, let's just review what the main players have charge over and represent. So let's have a look at Taurus. Taurus is Earth, it's fixed Earth. And it has a stubborn and tenacious nature. It likes to do things a little bit more slower and consistently, and it likes to be thorough, and it's more of a planner. Now, Taurus is one of the 4 fixed signs that holds the cherubim. It was the original bull or ball of the Assyrian religious rites, the sacred bull or the golden calf. The second decan shows the constellation Eridanus, which is the decan we're dealing with at 18 degrees of Taurus. Now, the river, which is also considered the river of the judge, which is analogous to a fiery stream flowing into the underworld. And the biblical description of the wrath of the Lord, which is also described in Isaiah 13. Now, Taurus rules and represents the body, banks, financial systems, bank systems, ATMs, money, jewelry. It rules cows, farming equipment, farming, farmland, the earth, the soil, pastures, farm animals, food, growing food, resources, comforts, security, self-worth, investments, property, leather, bags, especially bags that hold money, altars. And it also deals with ownership and possessiveness, what you earn, how you earn it, your skills and talents, what you do for work, what really matters to you, and what you value. It also deals with ancestry and in some cases also with family, Faro family historically. So Taurus also rules the throat, including the neck, the thyroid gland, the vocal cords, and the tonsils. So these are all things that we can connect to some of the events and things that can happen with this this conjunction is actually activating for us. And we're already seeing actions in regards to farming across the board collectively. We're already seeing topics in regards to food resources, supply lines, all of these things. So there's just too much to speak about. So I'm listing them for you like this so that you can just make a mental note. And then you will also pick it up easier when you are seeing these things in the headlines. Now, the North Node is usually connected to greed, growth, wanting more and not getting enough. It's also connected to the future. It's also connected to connections, internet connections, physical connections with people, all types of connections, pretending or masking. So if you're, say, really wanting to become a very well-established professional in some area, and you sort of put on that hat, so you're sort of faking it till you make it. That's also a very North Node thing. In some cases it can be fake, sort of a, almost in a lying kind of way, but at the same time it can just be a mask that helps you to move through things easier. It can also deal with acting. The collective or the native's destiny direction is also pointed forward with the North Node. So in your natal chart, the North Node would point the life direction or the things that you are supposed to move towards, and create more of a balance between your North and your South Node is really the optimal idea. And collectively, where the North Node is what we are supposed to be moving towards, which in our case right now, collectively, is the North Node is in Taurus. So we are being prompted to grow our own food, take more sovereignty over our own finances and our own security, and so forth. And with the South Node in Scorpio, we're also being asked to be less dependent on others, less dependent on government agencies, less dependent on loans. Getting out of debt is important now. Getting rid of toxicity in the body, in everything, and also just letting go of anything that does not serve us anymore, and simplifying our lives as much as possible. I digress. So really, yes, the path to toward we are to go within balance of both the North and South Node. Now, we are to also expect that with this North Node here, there can be an overindulgence for some. There's definitely inflation with this, especially in regards to topics that Taurus rules. For example, food, property, all of those things. So, and then of course we're also seeing it with things under the ground as well. So this is very much the rich getting richer at the moment. And then we also have Uranus here. Now, Uranus is in full in Taurus. It's not very comfortable there. And what I mean that is, it's sort of like putting a chef in a surgeon's chair, so to speak. It's putting someone in an area that they're not familiar with, and you're asking them to operate. So that is what Uranus does in Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth. It's very stable. It's grounded. It's hard earth. So Uranus wants to turn things around. Uranus wants to, work that soil and break it apart. And it's very difficult for him to do that and do things in a different way, because Taurus likes to do things the same way and prefers not to change. So that is why a lot of the things that are happening can be quite uncomfortable. But it is changes that does need to be made so that that soil can be turned and become more fertile for future growth and to become more nutritious for us in the end. So with Uranus here, Uranus takes care of things like unexpected changes that we can expect. We can expect the unexpected with Uranus. We can expect inventions, anything unusual. Freedom is what Uranus wants. Individuality. It wants the truth. It brings brilliant ideas. It represents rebellion, aviation, trains, aeroplanes, technology, machinery, energy waves, electricity, the internet, and the higher understanding and perspective of things, because it also rules the ethers and the outer sky. Engineering, earthquakes, lightning, storms, earth events, the outer sky, divorce and breakups, instant connections, sort of love at first sight connections. Uranus is usually involved. Breakdowns, breakthroughs. Uranus looks towards the future. It's the most futuristic planet that we have. It can sometimes indicate criminal activity. So I would definitely say we'll be expecting more money scams, internet scams, hacking, bank robberies. Things like this could be coming up more. Instant payments, instant taxation. Skyscrapers are also ruled by Uranus. Emotionally detaching is ruled by Uranus. Being more, being able to see things more objectively. It can deal with a higher order. UFOs, the collective, the people, and humanitarianism in general. Now, Uranus also governs the nervous system, both on an individual scale and also on a societal scale. It plays a role in the respiratory function, the bronchial tubes, the lungs, the diaphragm, the cilia, the trachea. These are all affected by Uranus. Consequently, Uranus energy can be utilized to assist with soothing breathing malfunctions such as bronchitis, emphysema, asthma, and so forth. It also deals with epilepsy, seizures, heart attacks, strokes, nervous tension, anxiety, and behavioral issues. And in some cases, also the liver. For example, just like the liver suddenly just shutting down, or sort of a liver crisis. Then we have Mars. Now, Mars is considered a malefic planet according to the ancients, and it's also in detriment in Taurus. And that's why I'm going to bring up a lot of negative things with this video, but also positive things. Now, with Mars here, Mars is action, it's aggression, it's cutting, it's ending, it's starting, it's new beginnings, it's emotions, it's sex, machinery, competition, bravery, engines, vehicles, pioneering, accidents, impulsivity, deals with surgery, injuries, speed, weapons. It deals with war, especially Uranus conjuncting with Mars is a telltale war energy. It also deals with our drive, our physical energy, our muscles, fighting, arguing, self-defense, our motivation, frustrations, burns, fires, inflammation, diseases, force, using force, military, and and being of service in some kind of industry like the military, or for example being a nurse or something like that, wearing a uniform. It deals with guns and speed and sport. Now it also rules the blood, the marrow, energy itself, the neck, veins, genitals, neck, again, sorry, red blood cells, the sexual organs, and female organs as well, and especially the head. Now, Mars is hot, dry, and fiery, and so we can also expect a lot of fires and hot weather. The organs in the human body that some astrologers believe are also under Mars are bile, ears, the nose, the forehead, the sinuses, fiber and muscular tissues, the anatomical structures governed by Mars are the muscular tissues, the cerebral hemisphere. And the diseases related to Mars are usually, like I've mentioned, inflammation, but in this case also inflammation of the lungs, homeostasis, hemorrhage from the lungs, spitting of blood, consumption, hypertrophy, typhoid and fever, and infectious and contagious diseases in general. And this conjunction that is taking place is at 18 degrees of Taurus. Now, according to Nikola Stojanovic's degree theory, the 18th degree he considered as an evil degree, and he connected it to a bad destiny. And with these malefic planets sitting here, this can point to a very turbulent 15 years ahead collectively on the planet, with all of the changes that will be taking place. But there will also be a lot of breakthroughs and innovation. But it can indicate rare diseases, tragic accidents, and in some cases, there's of course always good and bad in life at the same time. And there are endings in order for new beginnings to be able to occur, because sometimes new beginnings cannot start unless we make room for them. And sometimes when we are Taurian energy, we don't want to make those changes. We have fear. We don't want to lose our security. We feel safe where we are or with what we know. So the unknown can be quite scary. But in this case, we are being catapulted into change, and we need to embrace and stabilize ourselves as much as we can at the same time. Now, Venus is the ruler of this conjunction in Taurus. She's placed at 17 degrees of Cancer. As well, she is in a Virgo decan and degree ruled by Mercury. The moon disposits over her and is at 24 degrees of Virgo, and at this point in time disposited over by Mercury, who currently finds himself at 25 degrees of Leo, disposited over by the Sun at 9 degrees of Leo, which again leads to Leo and the Sun, emphasizing sovereignty over our finances, over our bodies, over our lives, putting attention also on our families, our housing, food, our heritage, the land, women, the womb, issues concerned with nutrition, and particularly financial security, and grounding ourselves in spiritual security and upgrading our skills and talents as currency so that we can create with that. Now, Venus is also squaring Chiron, suggesting uncomfortable and painful changes. So for some, this can be very uncomfortable. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Now, let's go over some of the possible manifestations on a collective level. And then you can also check out the individual possibilities for each rising sign separately that I will put the links in the description box below, because I'm going to be doing an individual podcast for each rising sign. And just for those that are not familiar, the rising sign is not necessarily the sign that the sun was in when you were born. It's the sun. It is the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon when you were born. So if you're unsure of what your rising sign is, you can always contact me and I can help you to figure that out. Okay, so let's have a look. On more of a negative note, we could potentially expect things like flight disruptions, unexpected changes, events, and restrictions in regards to flying in general, anything connected to that. Financial analysis, as there's unexpected changes and crisis events as far as the financial system is concerned to be expected, connecting to investments, new currencies, etc. Transportation accidents, electrocutions, technology in the body, under the skin, and so forth. Supply lines and inflation. Explosives, explosive emotions, and actual explosions. Mechanical issues and breakdowns. That's why I would not recommend flying or operating any heavy machinery or any dangerous things for at least, I would say, 2 weeks before and after this conjunction. But I would even say for the rest of this year, these types of things need to just be, we need to be more careful about this type of thing, especially also fairgrounds with rides, as well as aviation shows. I've noticed that, interestingly, on this exact date, there will be an aviation show in the area where I live, and so many other shows. So it's important to just be careful. So I've mentioned mechanical issues and breakdowns, sudden endings and changes. There can also be expected volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, environmental changes, more earth conservation action, legislation connected to climate change, health crisis, restrictions and legislation according to this, intense heat, fires, solar flares, gun control topics, lab-produced meat, beyond meat, fake again, North Node connection here, limited food supply lines, medical experiments with an emphasis on experiments, unexpected financial market changes, probably a crash is possible, power, internet, and electricity outages are possible, power charge issues with electric vehicles that could possibly lead to more innovation at a later stage, border changes to countries, as we've seen this happening in the past with these types of conjunctions. I will kind of briefly go over that at the end. Microchips, the electrification, radiation of Earth with so much technology and 5G. So it would be, and also, like I've mentioned, hacking, internet hacking, that type of thing. So it's a good time to back up your data, get antivirus software, get out of debt, have your eggs in more than one basket in order to be okay if anything goes down. Start putting food away, not in a crazy panic way, but just just being safe, rather safe than sorry. And I'm saying this not just, like I said, some of these things can happen instantly, some of these things can happen and unfold over the next 15 years. But we're moving towards a cashless society, digital currency, robotics, experiments, for example, like we've seen now with CERN's recently turned on again. We can expect less assistance from loans and government programs and other programs unless we tick the boxes for certain requirements. So there will be more limitation and restrictions surrounding that as well. But we want to get as self-sufficient right now as we possibly can. We'll see topics such as ownership of land, possibly land returned to the ancestry, more LGBTQ topics, probably a lot more riots and revolutions, riots with the farming like we've been seeing, riots about abortions, our bodily rights, sexual topics. We might see more sexual diseases or even just innovation in that area. The tangible and what we touch is becoming less. So we will be valuing that more. We will see much more changes to touch and as things are moving more into these virtual reality developments and beyond the 3D and that type of thing. So on a more positive note, we could see potentials such as just new information coming to you, like a flash of insight, a sudden download of information, a bright idea, God speaking to you in a dream, a solution to something that you've struggled with for a while, a sudden breakthrough. There can be inventions, more discoveries, outer sky connections, AI. We will see more of outer space coming into the Earth's atmosphere, more meteorites, UFOs, beyond the 3D connections, the new Earth. And we'll also be dealing more with recycling, reusing, detoxing. So it's very important now to be more aware of what is toxic in our lives, what doesn't work for us anymore, whether it's food, relationships, work, it doesn't matter what it is. We're being asked to really excrete that. Astrology and astronomy innovation and advancements will also be occurring. Unusual artistic developments and discoveries in regards to fashion, makeup, decor, music styles and genres, skincare, the food industry. We could be seeing shorter and faster flights in the future, maybe even flying cars. We'll see more advancements like we've seen now with the electric cars or self-driving cars, more medical innovations and advancements and discoveries, more X-ray advancements, all energy upgrades, technology upgrades. Communities will also start trading more, which will be more of a side effect from all of this. Especially if certain people are being kept from certain things because of restrictions. People will be coming together more in order to support each other. Like I said, the tangible will become more valuable, will be more in tune with nostalgic things, whether it's toys or old vehicles or antiques and even secondhand vehicles. Those types of things are going to become more valuable to us. That human-to-human contact. We'll be seeing more, like I said, recycling, reusing, upgrading things, as well as our DNA, our cells, our consciousness. Everything is getting an upgrade. We are to be simplifying, cutting back, having more than one income, upgrading our skills and talents, you want to start asking yourself, what can I trade if I have nothing? What can I offer if I have nothing except my body and myself? Your talents will become your currency. This is also what you can use in community settings to help each other. When things get too expensive, when things go down, we can help each other with what we can offer, as each and every one of us is unique with unique skills and talents. So tap into that and be creative. This is the Leo Sun energy for this as well speaking. And we will be reassessing now our financial situations, our investments, our spending, our work, our lives, what we value, if our jobs, careers, lifestyles, and relationships are in tune and aligned with our life's purpose. Does it have a meaning? Is it good for us? Are the people in our lives good for us? What do we mean to others? We're being prompted to create our own destiny here, to start our own thing in some area, to become more sovereign, to get back down to the basics and simplify our lives and live with more purpose. Our values have changed, especially since Uranus moved into the sign of Taurus in 2018. We've been changing that area of our lives, and it's changing everything because it's what we value. Our values and our self-worth is changing, and we need to realign now. For some, this can be very uncomfortable, like I said. There will be relationship breakups and new connections. There will be shocks and surprises, but ultimately an upgrade and a liberation that is redirecting you to your soul's path. Now, you can also think back to 2018 when Uranus entered Taurus. If there was anything significant that was a theme back then that could have happened, maybe it was shocking or sudden, and this can be revisited with this conjunction with Mars here as well, bringing it in a bit faster, more intensely, more acutely. And we'll again see this reactivated in October when Saturn makes more of an exact square again to this conjunction point and so forth. Now, I just wanted to go back and just mention a few things. I mean, we can go back in history and look at all the conjunctions all the way back, but I'm just going to mention a few things here. For example, in 1991, we had the World Wide Web when this conjunction took place. We had the GSM cell connection. We had the Gulf War. We had the Soviet Union collapse. We had protests. We had tearing down of walls. We had breaking down of old structures, which is Uranus. The music changed. We had a music change into like more of a grunge style. In 2007, we had a huge technological boom with Facebook, Twitter, the iPhone, YouTube, Kindle, all of that, which was life-changing. It's for everyone collectively. So there can be opportunities for you in this area as well of Taurus that can go viral. So pay attention to your ideas and the things that are happening now, because it could actually catapult you into something that could go viral quite fast. We also can look back at when the last time that Uranus, Mars, as well as the North Node were conjunct in the sign of Taurus at 18 degrees was at the time of Alexander the Great, which again brings up the theme of borders expanding and boundaries expanding, connecting the world. So we could see changes in borders with certain countries as well. In other years, we've seen space shuttle launches, developments with space and space shuttles, supersonic planes, Hubble telescope, the credit card, paper money. So obviously this is again an indication of new currency, new systems coming in, that's more technological. And of course, the Uranus-Mars connection, and the growth factor of the North Node, which really expands that, really brings in war and revolution energy. And with Saturn in Aquarius right now squaring this conjunction, the Sun squaring it as well in Leo, the South Node in Scorpio, we've actually got quite a loose grand cross here. But the square from Saturn also can indicate that the innovation will be controlled in some way, or limited to some in some way, or blocked in some areas. So that can also cause some frustration that can be expected. But this is ultimately eye-opening and collectively an awakening for us. So really, you need to look also at the house of Taurus in your chart. There's a need to secure our Taurus house, as well as cutting out everything that is not supposed to be there any longer. It's important for us to get self-sufficient here, to get independent and stand in our authenticity here. So whatever is not resonating with your soul purpose will become very undeniable now. What you used to see as security, or what used to make you feel secure, most likely will not feel or be that way anymore. You could ask yourself, where am I stuck? Where am I blocked? Where can I start making changes to lessen the friction and the tension? It's time for action with Mars here. It's time to do something about it, to do something about the freedom you want here. Or Uranus will move you anyway, and it will be uncomfortable and even painful for some. But things, yes, like I said, it will be unbearable if you do not listen to the signs, because you've been getting them for a while now. But this is for your highest good. So what are you going to do to be more free, to create, to tap into your talents and skills? Experiment in the area of Taurus in your chart. Follow your gut, your insights, and the ideas that come to you now, that can be brilliant ideas instantly. Follow it. The people that come into your lives, there's messages here. The area where you cannot breathe anymore will become very apparent. And remember, Taurus deals with the material. It deals with materialism. So do not allow things to own you, because the more you own, the more what you own owns you. Same with relationships. It's important for us to detach and simplify, liberating ourselves. There can be sudden happenings now, such as suddenly cutting an addiction, suddenly being able to leave a toxic relationship, suddenly falling in love, suddenly falling out of love, suddenly deciding I'm not doing dairy anymore, suddenly deciding I'm going to take care of myself better physically now. I'm going to start my own start my own career, start my own job. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to actually do what I want to do. I'm going to find a way to be happier with my daily existence. So it's important now to tap into nature. Spend time in nature. Take off your shoes. Ground to the earth. And connect to the natural world, the stable, God's gift, natural medicine, natural healing. It's important for us to grow our own food. It's important for us to become more self-sufficient and more independent on all levels. It's important for us to teach our children how to make things from scratch and how things work, instead of just buying the fake, just going for the pretend. Let's go for the real. Let's go for the earth. And let's ground ourselves in what God did give us on this planet that works perfectly fine without any innovation. So it's time for us to wake up our lives, live with more meaning and purpose. It's better without so much bling anyway. Be more free. Being free is being rich, because we are swiftly being met with the truth here. I would hope that you would like and subscribe. Please share this with anyone that could possibly benefit from this. I'm going to go over the individual rising signs now separately, and I'll put the links in the description box below. May the sun shine bright on you this day. May there be blessings coming your way. And I wish you wonderful, exciting breakthroughs that will liberate you going forward. Until next time, bye-bye.